Hello everyone! This is actually a repeat of an older video that just a short while ago that happened to be my first video on this channel. What happened to that video? I accidentally deleted it. Don't ask me how, but I suppose for the best because this will hopefully be a much better recording than the one I did last time. And this is also funny but appropriate timing because I just came from a conference on trans women's health. Like, how exciting is that? And boom, that's why I have this here. Anyway, how are you all doing? My name is Victoria, and welcome to this channel. I identify as a gender non-conforming trans woman who happens to also be pansexual, and I use she, her pronouns, but they, them are acceptable as well. I have made a few videos in the past on YouTube under different names. The content I was making back then included mainly philosophy and some new agey spiritual / religious stuff. I was raised in a secular household. Dad, an atheist, but who kind of believed in Buddhism, and mom, who was not religious, but a little spiritual, and kind of Jewish. It's in the family. I bounced around from being agnostic to atheist to even my own made-up religion, to even dabbling in Christianity, to Buddhism, to a different iteration of the religion of my own making, to being an agnostic atheist, to being a little into Wicca. Then I tried my hand at music in just a couple of videos, mostly acoustic rock, before putting that on the shelf. But then I tried to pick YouTube back up in the interest of progressive politics, but only made a couple of videos before also putting that back on the shelf. In 2016, by the way. But I've been doing a little Facebook live streaming since then on political matters. The reason why I've hesitated so long to get back into YouTube is mostly a matter of me being too busy. But how often is busy used as an excuse? Am I right? It also has to do with me transitioning and taking time to work on myself and to build up my confidence. I'm also a bit shy and awkward. Much less so now than I used to be, but it's still there. So YouTube is not exactly the most appealing form of social media or interaction on the internet to me personally, but there's also some good content on it, and it happens to be very popular. I also get stage fright, fear of public speaking. It's a lot weaker than it used to be, but ironically, it doesn't help that YouTube is also an additional layer of awkward for me, because it's like public speaking, but I'm not talking to an audience with which I can directly interact. For all intents and purposes, I'm just talking to my phone or my computer, and then getting way delayed responses from people I can't see, which makes it a little weird for me. Another big part of why I hesitated so long to jump back into YouTube was security and privacy concerns, doxing and bullying, and self-indulgent behaviors of a lot of YouTubers, and people with too much time on their hands, frankly, and lots of bickering, mudslinging, catfights, infighting, and verbal and other verbal fighting more generally. As Mark Twain observed in 19th century American society, what is also too often prevalent on YouTube is the perfect combination of ignorance and arrogance. And we really haven't progressed much, at least in any core sense, since the 19th century. And, well, ideally, Ideally, I want to raise the bar and raise our standards and stay above the fray and drama that swirls around here. But, you know, but I'm far from perfect. And not above making some videos about myself and what's going on in my life, and from time to time, in addition to more meaty content that I want to make. Now, a brief story of my life. I'll keep this brief. Brief, I promise. Not like 10 minutes or anything. I mean, the video is probably going to be more than 10 minutes at this point, but, you know, not 10-minute long monologue about my life story. You don't want that. I don't want that. Just a brief story. Anyways, I am trans. I don't know if you guys could tell. I did just pass my 4th month on HRT, and but I've been identifying as trans for almost a year now, actually. For about a year before that, I identified as genderqueer or gender fluid. And before that, I was just trying to get through life as an apparently straight cis man. Too many people surprised when I talk to them now, of course. But not really having my heart in it. I was mostly just going through the motions. I mean, don't get me wrong. I tried, and I didn't totally lack motivation or anything. I was, in fact, very studious, and I was more than a bit of a quiet, shy, nerdy introvert type growing up. I had mostly A's on my report cards. I was top of my class in 6th grade, and I even had my wall up somewhere. I'm not going to say where, but I have my wall up in honor of that I was one of the top kids in 6th grade. I took AP and IB classes in high school. I got a relatively high percentile on the SAT. I was a valedictorian at my high school, and I went on to be accepted into the President's Scholars Program at CSULB, get my bachelor's, and then later enter the the School of Public Health at UCLA, and graduate with master's. But my studies are about where my motivation began and ended. What I mean by that, I often felt listless, depressed, like what was the point, or that I was worthless or a failure, in spite of all of these achievements. And also having had a wonderful, gorgeous girlfriend for nearly 4 years. But it's true what they say. Success does not equal happiness. And I'm living proof of that. This lack of motivation and listlessness reached a bit of a crisis point in early to mid 2016 rather, when I had failed to find a good steady job for months since my graduation from UCLA. I mean, think about that. Months went by. I could not or did not find a good steady job since my graduation with master's degree from UCLA. That, combined with my revelation to my then girlfriend that I was genderqueer, soon drove us to taking a break, and soon after, breaking up. As much as the breakup hurt, it really hurt, I knew it was right and it had to happen. I could not keep holding my feelings inside. Okay, where did I trail off here? Sorry. Bear with me here. I could not keep holding my feelings inside and basically living a lie. It took a great deal of courage, but I somehow mustered it. I knew something was off for years before that, and I would often imagine myself in female or feminine roles, occasionally, but rarely cross-dressing when I could get away with it. Thinking about what if I was a woman, and in the back of my mind, wanting that, but thought that was wrong, or I was just confused, or that I was just gender non-conforming. I would also feel uncomfortable about with my body quite often, and to a pretty big degree. And that's how I went. That's how I went through almost 26 years of my life, bottling my feelings inside and pushing these thoughts to the back of my mind. But there is no substitute for being who you are and for living your truth. My trans journey hasn't been easy both before and since coming out, but has been worth it. Now that lack of motivation that I had is mostly gone, and when it does ever happen, it's a lot more transitory. Now life is far from perfect, but it's certainly a lot better and much more worth living. I recently got a job in a very inclusive and accepting environment doing social work. And yeah, that's the job that I was like, at this trans women's conference for earlier today. It was Spanish speaking, yes, but, and I didn't have a speaking role, but I did introduce myself. I said, hola, buenos dias, me llamo Nikki. Soy la administradora de casos para housing, vivienda, and bienestar. So yeah, it was, I'm so grateful for that I'm now in an accepting environment doing the social work that I want to do. And it's much more rewarding and better paying than that part-time minimum wage job that I had at Ralph's that I felt I was stuck at and that was draining my soul. It was good to have something like Ralph's to depend on while I transitioned, but it was far from fulfilling. And I'm so grateful for my new job and can take joy in making a difference in others' lives and improving my own while I'm at it. I also have an amazing girlfriend who just, makes me smile and laugh, makes me instantly happy just walking in the room. But just to be abundantly clear, I've been out as pansexual for about as long as I've been out as trans, and her and I are in a polyamorous relationship. Now, for what I hope to bring to YouTube. Now, what I hope to bring to YouTube and what content I hope to create. Primarily to be a source of inspiration for trans women and, for fellow trans women and trans, non-binary, and queer people more generally. Sadly, what I don't see enough of on YouTube, I do see some, but not enough, is inspirational messaging from fellow trans YouTubers. There's nothing necessarily wrong with what I'm about to say, but most of the content I see is just tutorials or advice or self-indulgences, like I mentioned earlier, or bickering and cat fights. Yeah, cat fights. But I want to change that. I really do want to change that. Politics, number 2 that I want to bring to this channel is about politics, especially politics from the left, the far left, including footage from rallies, marches, protests, and other activist events. And, I'll just get this out of the way. I identify as a communist, but I don't identify as an SJW. I agree with identity politics. I don't agree with identity politics. If an idea or policy is right, it's right. And if it's wrong, it's wrong. It doesn't necessarily matter who said it and what their identity is. What matters is in which direction the data points, how sound and logical one's argument is, and whether or not credible sources are cited. That said, social justice does matter, and I'll get more into that in a later video. I also have my qualms and disagreements with feminism, broadly speaking, but for the most part, I agree with it, with the overall philosophy of feminism. Though I may be more diametrically opposed to certain schools of feminist thought and certain conclusions reached by certain feminists rather than others, and certain schools of feminist thought compared to others. That said, I do consider myself pro-women's liberation and women's empowerment. More on that in another YouTube video. Number 3 that I hope to bring to this channel is makeup tutorials, but also including trans empowerment and practical advice, because, I mean, to be honest, you don't need to wear any certain amount of makeup at any given time. Not wearing makeup doesn't make one any less trans or any less woman. I mean, you don't have to be a woman to wear makeup either. That's the other thing. And the other thing is that, yes, for trans women, like, makeup can afford a certain amount of passability. And that matters, you know, especially depending on where you live. Like, I live in California. It's not as big of a deal. I still try to pass, kind of. I mean, generally, like, look how I'm dressed. Like, I probably pass pretty well. I mean, I definitely confuse some people sometimes. But I'm gender non-conforming anyway, so it's not necessarily the biggest deal either way, but I do consider myself trans. But I realize for some people, say living in the Midwest or the South or something, where the environment is very hostile to trans people, you know, wearing makeup can afford a certain amount of passability. So it's not like it doesn't matter, but, you know, I'm just saying that you don't need to wear makeup to be who the hell you are. You know? Like, just do you. You know, do the bear look. I do the bear look all the time. Or do the full makeup look like, you know, I'm doing. I mean, this is kind of halfway, because, like, sometimes I do there's a little more pizzazz to it. But yeah. Let's see. And what was, number 4. Number 4 is content. Sorry. Number 4 is content about animal liberation, vegan advocacy, and plant-based food and recipes. Number 5 will be trans advice and support. Number 6 will be music, either reactions or sharing my musical tastes, or you know, making music of my own. Now, that making music of my own part probably will happen very little, and it'll probably happen way in the future, rather, actually, because I just haven't practiced in a while. Very rusty. I have a guitar and I have a mellophone. I've been meaning to practice, and I will, hopefully, but, you know, it'll be a while before I feel confident enough in it to, like, record something for that. But anyways, for the reactions and sharing my musical tastes and all of that, that will be in the Vix Music channel. That's also part of this Victoria Stern account, but it'll be in a separate channel, Vix Music. And I might, again, dabble a little bit in philosophy and spirituality like I had in the past. And a last category would just be other. Like other, maybe reactions to animes, films, or just any other subject matter. Science, for example. I'm really interested in science, so there you go. And yeah, I mean, that's it. Do you guys have any questions or comments for me? If so, please leave them below. And, you know, if you liked my video or got anything positive out of it, and you want to see more, don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and click the little bell over there for more alerts. You can also follow me on Twitter at the @ Vicky for Revolut. That's VICKY and then FOR Revolut, REVOLUT. And on Instagram at the @ Victoria Stern, all one word, 17. And if you're into politics, I'm posting below in the box down there the channels and accounts where I'm representing for political groups, nonprofits, where I'll be probably be most active politically on YouTube. Probably be doing a little bit here, but mostly there. And that's the name of those accounts. It's Empower Humanity and Vegan Internationalist, Revolutionaries, and Activists for Liberation. That second one, yeah, I know it's a mouthful. Just call it viral activism. So yeah, that's it, guys. Well, bye for now. Ciao, ciao.